I just want to share with you some of my latest pictures of orbs, and I'll be showing you some holy ones. They've got holes all in them, and I'll tell you what I took a picture through, and it's this thing. It's something I found at the thrift store. It's got a big ball right here, and when I take pictures through that, and my method of taking pictures I describe on how to take pictures of orbs, so I won't go into that here. But anyway, this produces these holy orbs. Now, I was just thinking recently, because so many people are interested in orbs these days, and there's so many varying opinions, and there's no one thing that all orbs are. And while I'm speaking, I'll let some of these pictures, let you see some of these. What I am getting is the activity of reflected light, or some people call it light refraction. Well, when you consider this, that everything is made of light, that we ourselves are made of light, then, and when light reflects off of something like a glass, it shows you a reflection of light, which is what we are made of. And because light does so many mysterious things, it's to me, it's like, well, that's not saying it's just light shining in something shiny, like a piece of glass. No, we need to investigate the reflections of light. We ourselves are reflections of light. We're not just our physical body. If we could see ourselves as we're seen, we might just see light. And more and more people are beginning to realize that we are surrounded by, like we're moving around in some kind of light soup. Well, it's all around us. All these pictures that I'm taking right here in my room. All this color, it's all around. And the light shows it. And when you film through the glass, I think the glass has a way of slowing down the orb activity. Now, are these consciousness, these orbs? They may be, but they may be just a primal matter that everything takes its colors from, because these orbs tear themselves apart. They develop holes and let their color drop out of one orb into another orb. They do so many things. And I can't believe that it's all just of no consequence. But it's not what all orbs are. There are orbs that people are taking pictures of that move around, and they catch them just moving through their rooms. I've never been able to get that kind of orb. But I have got the orbs that you get that are rain. On a misty night, when it's just raining a little tiny bit, it's mist mostly, and you can step right out into it and aim your camera up in the air. You will catch the little bits of moisture that will look like an orb. Dust does the same thing, and insects do the same thing. But everything makes something round, and let me show you this picture. Now, when I'm taking orb pictures, the way I take them, this little creature here, he just moves in and out of my viewer, and I snap a picture of him when I can. He's real elusive, though, because he's very fast. I don't know what it is, but I call it hairy, because I see him quite a lot. I got another picture of him right here. He has these two kind of balls. Well, really more than two. There's several. Now, here's a theory. I'm just going to put it out there as a theory. You can believe it or not believe it. There doesn't have to be absolute truths. When you make something an absolute truth, you're fixing it, and it has not the ability to change once enough people have fixed an ideal about a thing. Then they fixed it to be that, and it can't change. And okay, let me go to another. I've got so many pictures of orbs because they fascinate me. They're so full of color and they're beautiful. And they are what light is doing. And you can call it a power. I call it, I sort of believe it's orgone. And the reason is because a friend of mine doused to find out what it was. That's him, by the way. He had an eye operation, and that's a Band-Aid on his eye. I took a picture of him, and a big old orb just showed up right there. It looks like a Band-Aid, doesn't it? Anyway, he doused and found out that orbs were orgone. Well, our orgone is part of what we're looking at, put it that way. And that orgone was the opposite of ectoplasm. Now, I could show you pictures. I don't have any right here now. But if you Google it, ectoplasm is something that comes from the ears and mouth and noses of mediums. And it is a substance that can sometimes take the form of a person or a hand or some object. And it is a true power, but it is a destructive power. And oftentimes the mediums who work with this, it drains them of their energy. And if they do it enough, often enough, it can shorten their life. Because it isn't an energy that you really want to put a lot of effort into evoking. But orgone energy, this energy that I'm looking at, it is the opposite of ectoplasma. It is constructive energy, and it has the ability to heal. And I think also it has, oh, there's my friend again, Harry. See, he's kind of all folded into this part. And orgone energy has the ability to heal, and I think it also encodes us. Light encodes us with patterns and forms that we don't, while we don't understand how the encodement process happens, I do think it does something for us that's good. And you may disagree, but you would have to at least agree that the pictures I'm taking of orbs are phenomenal. And most orbs have this little ring around them. I'm pointing to it here. This is orbs that are folding. They're folding just like the pages of a book. But these are mostly staying round as they fold. I've got several pictures of them stretching themselves out because they don't have to stay round. They can stretch themselves out like a ribbon or like a sheet of paper or like a fan. And you can tell the orb because you always see that telltale little rim that has several lines, concentric lines around the orb. And they fold up just like a scroll. And they have things in them too. All kinds of little circles are in them and other things as well. And they have such color. And an orb loses its colors in a nanosecond. I mean, I'll be watching them through the viewer of my camera before I take the picture sometimes. It's already bursting its colors out one side, and maybe it'll empty completely up of colors. Or I'll show you some other pictures I have of that. And see, this is the orb as a ribbon-like part. This is one of the orbs that was round, maybe, or maybe it started out this color. I don't know. I show a lot of pictures of the orbs coming directly out of the light, and they come out kind of in a teardrop shape. But they come out already colored with all these little prints of stuff in them, which is, who knows? When my friend doused about that, he was told it was tachyon. And orbs pass right through one another. They don't seem to be bothered by the fact that another orb is right beside them. They'd just as soon give their colors to it as just to pass right through it, or get together with it and make some unusual thing. Look at this one, how colorful. On this one, I use my focus to get real close in on the orb. This is just part of one orb. You can see the outline of part of it, the edge, and that little telltale line of black that goes around it. And sometimes this light will make one of these real long things like this, and if you can see it go around, it looks like a snake eating its tail, because one end will enlarge and encompass the other end. It goes right into itself, and sometimes you can even see it inside of itself. And there's all kinds of things like lines like this. And this is the light source right here that you see, bluish colored. I'll just go through some of these and talk about a few of them. I like this one because you can see this orb made like a ribbon and then twisted in the middle. It twisted, it went down, and it's coming up. There's no limit to the acrobatics of these orbs. They can twist and turn and come apart at the seams and pass through one another, show you almost any color. It's amazing. Look at this one, how beautiful that is. Oh. And look at the color in that one. Light is amazing, and I think light is communicating with us nowadays, but it doesn't just step right up and say, hello, how are you? It communicates through the movements within the orbs or the light. And a lot that I'm showing you here on this camera, I see much more than this with just the naked eye. And I wish I could picture that, but all I can say, it is way more expansive, and some of these details that are inside of the orbs are in greater detail inside of what I see with my eyes, but not limited to a round shape. It's like a panorama of this kind of stuff. And it is amazing. When anyone says, well, that's just something the cameras do, I think, well, you know, my regular eyes see it without the aid of a camera, so I don't buy that theory. Although I do know the camera has debris in it. My camera does, I'm sure, and that shows up in some of these orb pictures. I'm going to go back to one of the let's see, one of the albums I have. Okay, this is one that I collected some of the prettiest ones and put them into this. Some few of these I had made into pictures that I'm putting into an album. Oh, my friend, I took a picture of him and I gave him a headdress of orbs. And there I got them surrounding his face. Look how beautiful this one is. I'm going to turn that one around. Looks sort of, well, let me turn it this way. It looks like a vase of all these beautiful colors. Well, this one is a big old Easter egg. I'll turn this one around too. And sometimes, like the one right before that, this one, it broke into being this. It just came apart, and it just got all these amazing colors that are almost electric blue, electric green, electric pink, and then some of them are just black and white. And then after all that, it twisted. It did a twist in the middle, which is why I say, well, the proof is in looking at the pictures of what these orbs do. And whether we understand the reason they do what they do, or what exactly to call them, which absolutely we don't have to say. We don't have to fix terms and scientific jargon about them, because they are what they are. And if you see them, you see them. If you don't, you don't. And you can take pictures or not. Or you can be just curious a little bit or curious a lot. But whatever you do, you cannot deny that we can take pictures of them. Now see, this one is where the orb went into kind of a long ribbon-like thing, but an uneven ribbon. Sometimes the ribbon is pretty much like a real ribbon that we see in our world. But this one, sometimes it's rather out of shape as a ribbon, but it travels in that manner. And little things are in this. I was looking at someone's video the other day that showed writings on a cave wall, and some of them look like some of the objects I see in orbs. This one has a maze of ribbons inside of it. They're like inside of an egg. Now see, this one isn't real colorful, but it does, oh well, here's some color down here in this part. It does have a lot of circles, little circles and bigger circles and dark circles, and there's my characteristic pea pod thing. And this is a new one. I don't know if a new piece of debris got into my camera or what, but I've been getting this long pea pod thing in all my pictures. And I used to have a shorter one, but sometimes now I do have the short one show up and the long one show up, so I don't know what's going on there. And it's all right, you know, to say, I don't know on something. I'm going to close in on this one, let you see all these little circles. There's so many of them. And this is the little pea pod thing, but it looks real similar to the other things that are in all my orbs. So I don't know, it's something I thought was in my camera because it comes out in every picture. But there's a couple of little circles like this that show up, and I don't think they're in my camera. And the reason is because when I have a picture with multiple orbs, those two little circles are in every one of the smaller orbs, which if it were something in my camera, it would just be on the same place in my camera on the picture, in every picture. But that is not the case. I'm going to close up on this. See, I'll show you some of this circles. It seems that nature works a lot with circles. Oh, I think this one is so pretty. I'll close up on it. And see, you can see in there all the little circles and the little tiny circles, and oh, I changed. Now here's one that is unfolding like it were a fan. And then here's one that's all folded in like, sort of like a book, but it has a lot of color in it. But you see the little telltale line on the edge of the orb and on the edge here. It takes a round shape, but it doesn't have to stay round. It can get into an egg shape if it wants to, or a shape like a ribbon, or a shape like a sheet of paper. Not all of them have brilliant colors. Some of them have dark colors in them, like this one. And this is more the shape of an egg than round. Oh, this one is very beautiful. I'll go up on that one. This actually looks like two orbs coming together. Or maybe 3 or 4 orbs, because I see one right there. And the edge of one right there. It's like, well, they dance and play with color, and the light just is amazing. This one here, it's folding up like a book. And this one has developed a side. See how it was round, and then on this side it started caving in and making a different shape, because maybe it's going to go into being a ribbon-like look to it. And what determines what the orb will shape itself like, I don't know. Maybe itself decides what it wants to do. And how can the play of light be consciousness? Well, if we only knew everything has consciousness of some sort in it, even a rock. Now see, this is one that's going in a circle. I couldn't get it all in. Had I been able to, I probably could have shown it looking like a circle, like the snake swallowing its tail. Oh, there's a cat. Oh, I'll go back to this. An orb showed up in my picture of an unusual cloud that was in the sky. And I was taking a picture of it, and right here, there's an orb. They always have a little thickness to them, like there's a top and bottom of an orb, and you can see that in this. This is a very colorful one. That's a close-up of one. There's Harry again, and see, he's got these 2 little eyes. I call them eyes because he's always got these little legs and some little round, colorful, well, light-colored bumps on him. And sometimes more than 2. Sometimes there's like 8 or 9. Now, see, there's a little pea pod. I'll get up close. And this is something I thought was just in my camera. And I kept thinking, well, that's just more. In all my pictures, it's always in my camera. And then now I have another one. As of the last month, this one has been showing up right here. Looks real similar to this one. What it is, I don't know. I'm just allowing it to be there, though, because what can I do? There's nothing I can do about it, except maybe get a new camera. I'm going to take you up real close inside this one. See these circles? Some of them overlap one another. And I have been looking at this without taking the picture and just watching it, and everything looks like it's liquid inside of these because of the movements of the things in it. And these look like little air bubbles because sometimes they come up and go back down. I know that doesn't sound very scientific, but that's what my eyes see and what the pictures show you too. They do look like little air bubbles. There's my 2 pea pods again, and this one. And they generally stay in the same area, right here and right here on the picture. So I do think they're part of something that's in my camera. But these little circles aren't. See, these 2 circles right here, if this were a picture of several orbs, these 2 circles would be in this part of the orb, in each and every one of the smaller orbs. Maybe I'll come across a picture like that. And then they do this crazy thing here. they develop holes in them. I'll see the hole as it's forming in it when I'm getting ready to snap the picture. And this, sometimes I go up real close inside an orb when I'm taking pictures of them because they are so colorful. I just want to get some of that color. And these are a few pictures of where I've done that. You can't see that this is an orb because well, on this one you can. See right down here how it makes the curve. And you see the little black concentric lines that edge these orbs. And in this one you can see the bubbles real good, some real big, with a white inner part. It's really strange, and they look like ripples in water. The whole thing looks rather watery when I'm looking at white and orbs with my naked eye. It always looks like water. And it looks like one dimension of things on top of another one, on top of another one. It's like I'm looking into something that's very dense as far as you're looking at layers. You're looking at something that's watery and something's like floating on the surface and something's a little further down in the water, and then beyond that it's even further down on different planes. And you see now in this picture you can see, I don't know if you can see it as well as I can, but there's a orb. Here's the edge of it. And this is the light source right here. The orb just emerges as like a teardrop shape right out of the light. And sometimes when I'm looking at them, they come out and they're already full of all kinds of colorful things as they come out of the light. And look at this one, it's buckling up right there. And these orbs, one thing I can say I know about them is they don't hold their form for very long at all. They're morphing all of the time. And some of them are very colorful, and then there's others, like this one. They're not all that colorful at all, but they are interesting. But I like color, so when it has a lot of color in it, I really like that. Now look at this one. Isn't that interesting? It's got all these really bright places in it. And the brightness is getting ready to go somewhere. And this one, rather dull. You always get a round orb when you're using a round marble-like thing to look at it. This one developing a hole on the side, and there's a hole right there. I see this one getting ready to erupt. All of its colors moving up this way. And there it is, a little more erupted, but you can see the little bands of orb activity, little threads, you might say. It's coming, what is that saying? It's coming loose at the seams. Loose at the seams, that's what it is. This one's making a big swirl action there. Oh, that's my friend. Oh, there's Gerald, my friend. I put some pictures of orbs over him. You can do that. There's a technique. I set one right on his head there. And see now, this is what I mean about the little eye things. When I have a big orb, you see them in it, only they're spaced further apart. But when I have little orbs, in each orb, in the same area, which is to the right of the orb is the two little eyes. See, they're in this one, they're in this one. You can see them because they're transparent and they pass through one another, so it's hard to see which eyes belong to which orb, but they're in each one. So this couldn't be something that's just in my camera, or it wouldn't do this. And this is seen through a piece of glass that it was a Christmas ornament, and it was a lot of glass work, and it just produced a lot of little views of orbs tiny like. Here's a little closer up of that. Oops, I'm getting at 30 minutes. I better end this or it might not take. I don't know how long I have on my Google, not my Google, but my YouTube documents to talk. I used to have only 10 minutes, but now it's like 30, maybe more. And this is already at 31, so I will end it here.